Aaron Chell, and I'm with Troutheads.com, and I'm here with my buddy Don Hill, and we've had a time to spend here with Chuck Domenici. And Chuck's with Charlie Sporting Goods, and he's going to just take us through a little bit of what you need to have on the water to get started fly fishing. Chuck, you want to introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about what you do.
I'm Chuck Domenici. I've worked at Charlie Sporting Goods since 1988 full-time. I run the fishing department, teach classes, guide, do a little bit of everything, but just love helping people get started fishing. That's the main thing that I enjoy, because we get a lot of beginners in here. And you get to watch them grow and learn and catch their first fish on a fly rod, and the experience of getting it and getting to where they can go out and catch more fish and help their friends. And just that snowball effect of catching fish and having fun.
Good.
You know, and enjoying yourself. You know, and a lot of beginners come in here. First thing they always want to know is rod and reel.
Yep.
You know, and there's a lot of good outfits out there. One of my favorites, I like companies that specialize in fly fishing more than ones that do spin and everything else, only because they tend to put a little more effort into their rods, especially their lower end beginner type rods, because they need you to continue to stay in business.
Nice.
Where a lot of the other companies, I feel, they just make a rod because there's a niche. They don't make it as good, put as much effort and research into it towards balanced as well.
Okay.
So I like companies like Redington. There's a lot of others out there. I'm just happened to grab this one today that are out there. And this package is under $200. Rod, reel, line, backing, rod case. Basically, you're ready to go fishing.
Nice.
Things you're going to want to look at, you're going to be asked, is rod length and weight. Oh, thank you. Length and weight. This rod is a 9-foot 5-weight. The 5-weight is kind of like, if you're coming from spin fishing, kind of like a medium light trout rod, spinning rod. Kind of a great all around. You can do everything. You can do a small stream, you can do a bigger river, you can do a lake, you can kind of do everything with it. Kind of all around trout. I like the 9-foot length because I can control the line on the water. Everybody thinks it's about casting. It's really about after the fly hits the water, what you do. And it's a great outfit, and this particular one has a lifetime warranty.
Nice.
So if you break it, step on it, your dog chews it up, whatever happens, send it in and they have a fee that they replace it with.
Good.
Comes with a reel. It's a single action reel, where what that means is every turn of the handle, the spool turns once. You have your fly line, backing, and a leader on here. And I'll explain all those parts. This one has a good drag system, a disc drag.
Yep.
So that's kind of like the brakes on the reel. For those of you who are familiar, your drag's your brakes. The leader, I'll go ahead and kind of jump to that.
Yeah.
That's the important part.
Absolutely.
Is the clear section that joins your fly line and connects the fly line to your fly. You want it tapered so that it helps to transfer energy and gently presents the fly. If you just made a level piece here, you either have to throw it so hard it splats in the water or it just won't turn over.
There you go.
Then you have, of course, the fly line. And what's so important about it is the fact that it actually throws the fly. Unlike in a spinning rod, if you're used to that and you're just getting into this, the weight on the end of the line throws the line. And it's really simple. As a kid, you remember, you just put a heavier line on. Weight on it, you can cast further.
Sure.
Well, it doesn't really work that way with this. The heavier the weight, the worse it is. But your fly line needs to balance with the rod. And that's where these companies do a better job. Like Redington owns Rio and themselves, so they put great fly lines on this outfit. This is a $50 fly line on this outfit. $40 fly line on this. Floats. It's tapered also, so it transfers energy, works, casts nice. And then below it, you have what they call backing. Backing is for what we all dream of. It serves 3 purposes. You know that fish that runs further, the fly line's typically 90 feet about.
Right.
So we all live and want that fish that runs further than 90 feet.
Yep.
Well, it doesn't always happen, darn it. But it sits there, gives you that, so it's tied to that, so if you have a fish run further. Also, it helps fill the spool up.
Sure.
So you get more distance in and you don't get small coils. So that's your basic, what you need in an outfit. The other thing I didn't mention was the pieces. I like it to be a 4-piece rod like this. Today, more and more rods are built as 4-piece rods. The nice thing about that is our vehicles are getting smaller.
Right.
We're traveling more.
Right.
And because of that, we're selling more 4-piece rods, so they put more into it. Unlike the old days, they used to take a 2-piece rod, cut it, say here's your 4-piece rod, and they cast horribly.
Right.
These rods cast great. In fact, if you didn't take them apart and you took them out in 2 pieces, most people wouldn't tell. And you just put them together, you got a 4-piece rod.
There you go.
Easy to handle, move around, pack away. In your nice small car, you can put in a backpack.
That's obviously floating.
Yes,
Floating
thank
line
you.
on
I
it?
forgot to
I just
mention.
want to make sure.
Most of the lines you're going to want to buy to start is going to be a floating line.
Good.
If you do a lot of lakes in particular, you'll want more sinking lines
Okay.
because it's really important to get to depth at lakes.
Okay.
In rivers, we generally throw to start floating lines, streamer fishing, and a few things on bigger waters you might run into it.
Good.
I'm going to borrow you to put that away.
Beautiful. Thanks, Chuck.
No problem. We're going to talk about, let's talk about the accessories and what you need in addition to the fly rod. You know, something, as you see behind me here, we've got vests, we've got packs of all kinds. There's more packs and vest variations out there. Problem is, there's not the perfect one.
Right.
We all like something different. I have gone a lot to these fanny packs, only because they're cooler. I can wear them with heavy clothes. I don't carry too much stuff, and they just kind of sling over your shoulder, sit on your hip.
Yeah.
When you don't want it, I slide it around the back.
Okay.
When I want it, I can slide it around to the front and get to everything.
Cool.
And when I mean by everything, you know, you're going to need a pair of hemostats, of course. These are 2 pinch barbs,
Yeah.
release fish. I like something with a smooth jaw, so it doesn't tear up the flies as much.
Good.
I don't like putting these on attaching them to me, only because it always seems too short. I either put them like this pack has a place for it, and a lot of packs do now,
Right.
or you can simply clip it onto something and it'll stay there.
Good.
So that's something you have to have, really.
Yeah.
Another thing is something to clip line, because you're always changing flies, you're always adding, fixing things, leaders and things.
Right.
This is a line clipper, you just simply squeeze it, clips line. It also has an eye cleaner in here.
Nice.
So a lot of times the flies will have glue in the eye of the fly. I can poke that and clean it out.
Yeah.
And this one's put on a zinger, so I can bring it out, use it, and it reels back up.
Cool.
Other little things you're going to want, something you got to have to fly fish, don't you? You got to have flies.
Yeah.
You know, different fly assortment. You can buy pre-made assortments. You can also, what I like to do with people is have them just come in, get a dozen flies or a few flies to start, and slowly build their flies, rather than come in and buy a whole bunch that you may not use. We all get our favorites. I don't know if you guys do, that you love, and you fish no matter what. You put it on, you have confidence in it. Well, that's what happens. And I encourage people to come back into Charlie's or whatever shop they get used to. Go in and tell them, hey, can I bring my fly box in? I have this in the car. What do I need? I'm going to the Hamas. What do I need to add? Or I'm going to San Juan. What do I need to add? That way you're not just getting sold over and over the same fly. Because the same fly works a lot of places, and it works a lot of times a year, and you may not use them. If you don't use them, all of a sudden you have half a box full of flies you don't use. So I'd suggest taking them in, especially beginning when you don't know names, and once you have, take them in. The other thing is when you have a fly that works, take a digital picture of it. We all carry smartphones. Take a quick picture before you lose the last one. It's real easy to go into the fly shop and say, do you have something close to this?
Right.
Rather than, I don't know if you guys have done it, I've done it, where it's really tough to explain what it looked like, and you're like, it was brown, it was this big, it had white legs, and it seems like the guy that's trying to help me find them never can figure out what I'm saying, and when we get done and I find it, what I was explaining is flies on top of the water. I think I put in here, if I didn't lose it, put it somewhere. We're going to need some fly floatant. Fly floatant is just waterproofing for your flies.
Okay.
Put a small drop on your finger, rub it between the fingers, and then rub it onto the fly. Don't put a whole bunch on. About the size of a BB will take care of most flies. And it just helps waterproof them, because most of them, the flies are made out of foams and hairs and feathers that will absorb water. They kind of repel it, but you want to make sure they're waterproof.
Cool.
For the times that we want to fish down deep, you're going to want assortment of small split shot, like this. It's kind of like my wife's purse. It's got everything in it, you know. But you got split shot, different sizes for different rivers, and there's times you could spend hours just explaining when to use what weights. But
Sure.
simply you want an assortment of weights. And then indicators, there again, we could do a whole session just on indicators. Indicators are basically fly fishermen's bobbers.
Yep.
When they started, they were indicators. They didn't add any buoyancy. They were just side indicators they were pieces of fly line, different things that went on your fly line, on your leader, so you could detect a strike and saw when it moved or changed directions. Well, now we are actually using them to suspend and change and hold depths. So by definition, they're truly bobbers. Some
Right.
people get upset when I call them that, but they're bobbers.
It is what it is.
You know, that's probably, those are the main things that you've got to have, something to carry it in, all that. And then lastly, you're going to need extra leaders. We talked about the leader. And then there's another piece to it that I'm not going to go in great detail. I'm just going to grab here real quick off the shelf. You're going to want extra tapered leaders.
Okay.
And they come in different lengths and weights. And you want tippet material so you can keep repairing these. As a fly shop owner, we love it when you just change a couple flies and throw these away.
Right.
But it gets real expensive for you, so we don't suggest it. You can repair the end of this leader multiple times with just tippet and changing it. So if I had to say what to pick just when walking in easily, if you're trout fishing, standard size flies, 7.5 foot 5X leaders.
Okay.
With a little bit of 5X, you can carry 6X and 4X, a little bigger and a little smaller, and that'll get you going.
Good.
Without going too much. And don't buy too many leaders. And the other thing I always do is write my date on it when I bought it. If you store these in a closet where it's dark, temperature doesn't change, they'll last a lot longer. Most of us don't have that luxury. Our wives won't let us put all our fishing gear in our closet. It gets stuck in the garage. When the garage gets hot and cold, the tippet and leader doesn't last as long. So I typically change them 1 to 3 years, depending on how hot your garage gets. If it gets real hot, change them every year. If it's not bad, maybe 2, maybe 3 years. But this is relatively inexpensive compared to the flies. So if you're losing flies because your material's old and brittle, it's an expensive mistake for something fairly inexpensive to change.
Great tip.
Oh yeah, it's even worse. Especially the big one you've been fishing for all year.
Wait for that
That's
backing to
right.
show up.
That's right. Last thing we'll go over and we'll talk about waders.
All right, great.
Thanks, Chuck. All right, Chuck's taking us into waders now, and going to talk a little bit about what we need for waders, boots, and wading staffs. Go ahead, Chuck.
Okay. You know, waders are the next thing you're going to want to probably purchase. Is something to get in the water and move around. In fly fishing, we typically are ankle deep to knee deep in the water fishing. Now, sometimes we got to cross deeper and things like that, or you're fishing lakes and float tubes where you're sitting deeper. But most time we're somewhat in the water. We're always getting wet. When it's cold, it's no fun getting wet. So most of us wear waders. Chest waders are by far the most popular right now. The reason I think is because the large range of pricing that you can get. You can start from about $100 up to about $800 and everywhere in between. As you go up in price, you usually get more durability. You get more gadgets, more things like zippers and things like that. But to get started, I like kind of the $150 to $200 price range. There's a lot of good waders in that price point. They last, and you can use them for multiple years before they wear out. They don't leak out of the box. Reddington makes a good one at about $160. Has reinforced knees, a gravel guard to go over your boot, because this is just a booty, and a boot goes over the top. And you can use this, and you can change it. You can roll it down to a waist wader if it gets hot. Has hand warmer pockets, things like that. And the most important thing I don't have on there is a wader belt. You want to make sure that you have a wading belt.
Sure.
If you fall in the river, you don't want them to fill with water.
Right.
So you always have to, when you're wearing a chest wader, wear a wading belt. Make sure you do. Number one thing, please always wear that for safety. It'll save your life. You know, water doesn't weigh anymore when it gets full. It just gets so heavy you can't move it.
Right.
So make sure you do that. Another popular wader is like a pant wader like this, just comes to this height. Still is nice because on small streams, if I sit down to tie knots, eat lunch, my butt's not getting wet. Just a great way to go. Problem is, weather turns bad or you want to cross a deeper spot,
Sure.
you can't do. But
Right.
a lot of people like this. Probably the least popular right now are your old hip waders like
Sure.
this, because it always seems when I wear these or wore them, I always step over the top and get wet.
Right.
Just always am always wet. And when I sit down to tie a knot or anything on the bank, I get my butt wet, you know.
Right.
It's that. And then last, a little thing too you can use are what they call guard socks. This looks just like the booty here. And what these do is fill your wading boots that we'll go over here in a minute up. I can wear quick dry pants or shorts with these, and I can do what we call wet wading. This adds a little bit of warmth, because if we're trout fishing, water should be cold. Shouldn't get in the water and go, oh, that's nice and warm. Probably not going to be the best day of trout fishing you've had. So you want something like this. They're neoprene, so they keep you warm. Keep the dirt out. Fill your shoe up so they fit correctly, and your wading boots that you have that fit over these can work. Great way to go. Jemez, Pecos, smaller stream stuff. Excellent to fish with.
Nice tip.
I use those a lot. In your wading boots, you have a large range of what works and what doesn't for you. Price ranges and everything. The way the waders work is this is waterproof. This just goes over the top and gives you ankle support, gives you grip and traction, just an important role. I don't skimp much in shoes just because ankle support and your feet not getting tired. Wading boots have come a long way from what they used to be. They used to be like a glorified Converse high top tennis shoe.
Right.
No support in them, no arch support, not much grip, just very plain, no ankle support, and you twist ankles. This one's designed for out here a lot. I love this new boot. It's lightweight, you can hike in it a long way. It's comfortable, and it's like wearing a light hiker. You just got to fit it so it goes over these.
Okay.
And that's why that guard sock's important. Bottoms, we're going mainly to rubber now. Some type of rubber, a sticky rubber.
Yeah.
Reason for that is I think it grips so good out of the water. With felt, which was traditional like this, the problem with felt is when you get on pine cones or mud or out of the water, it's slick. In the water, it's great on moss.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Not so great out of the water. And we spend so much of our time in New Mexico, in the Rockies, getting to the water and getting back and going around. I like a boot that I can use.
Nice.
You can also put studs in these, metal studs or aluminum, that help with even more grip.
Great
That's a
tip.
great way to go.
Yep.
And then lastly, for those of us as we get older, you know, more and more people, you need something in a wading staff.
Okay.
It can be an old ski pole. It can be something that's designed as a wading staff, but it gives you that third leg. The important thing when using this is to always place it and walk to it. And you'll have a great day of wading, plus you don't step off in any deep holes.
Right.
You can feel what's ahead of you.
Absolutely.
But that's pretty much what you know, the last thing I almost forgot, eye protection and sunglasses.
Yeah.
Got to make sure you have Polaroid sunglasses or eye protection of some kind. We only get one set of eyes. Make sure you wear sunglasses so that if you're walking by somebody making a cast and you don't tell them you're sneaking behind them, it protects your eyes. Not very often do I hit around my eyes. When I'm casting, I usually hit the back of my head or my jacket. I don't hit around my eyes. So, but make sure that you that you protect your eyes.
Perfect.
And wear long sleeves for sunscreen. Wear sunscreen and big brimmed hats, and that'll help you a lot too. Okay.
Great.
All right. I want to thank you guys and thank Chuck for
Thank you.
giving us the
All right.
how-to
Thank you,
here,
sir.
and
Thank
we'll
you.
come back again from troutheads.com.
All right.
Thanks, guys.